Hello everyone, this is Jotto and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show, episode number 66. This week we'll be going over the overall metagame post-Starving Buzzard and Leeroy nerfs, so things that are being played, things that will probably see more play. Now before we get started with the actual weekly, a couple of announcements. I will be running a unheroic, as in very budget, format Soulforge tournament on the 10th of October. So if you want to try out that game, that would be the time. It's really easy to get into unheroic. It takes about a week of dailies. So if you want to try out the game, now would be the time. Apart from that though, the Versus Series guy who's coming on this week is going to be a reoccurring guest who was the first person to be an Acebreaker, so some of you may know who that is already, but as for the rest of you, you're going to have to wait till Thursday. But without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Now, I'm going through these in the same order they are on Hearthstone, because that's where I'm getting some of these deck lists from, all of these deck lists from. Anyway, so the first one we're starting with is Druid. Now, Druid has traditionally been extremely token focused, with hunters being around so much, because they have to be aggressive. However, with Sludge Belcher being the dominant card right now, a lot of Druids have slowed down a lot. Now keep in mind, all of these deck lists are sort of decks that have done quite well, and I expect to do better as we move forward post nerfs. Anyway, so this particular deck, which belongs to Dog? Is that a player? I don't know. Anyway. So this particular list is a full ramp list. I think this is actually where you want to be going right now, as Wild Growth. It's a very powerful card because the game is a lot slower. As for the rest of the stuff, we do have standard keepers, one Force of Nature. Double combo is a bit excessive right now. You don't need to be fast, it's just some sort of finisher you can use. Double Ancient of War. This is good again. Black Knight is back in full force, I'll say that, because Taunt Druids are everywhere right now. Even Cenarius has come back as some sort of like late game buff card. Cenarius is much better on the utility side of things compared to Kel'Thuzad and Rag, and it also does not get mind control to make you lose the game, because it turns out Druids cannot beat a Kel'Thuzad if there's any other taunts on the board. Now as for the neutral cards, this is what makes this particular version a bit unique. We have a Zombie Chow for early game. BGH is back for handlocks, which are very common right now. And besides that, we've got some extra taunts going down here. So this is a more unique version, but the general gist of it is taunts and ramp are very good right now. Anyway, so as I said, we'll just be moving along the tabs at the top, as you can see here. Now, this list is made by Crusher, the same guy who did Crusher Shaman. But the major difference is it wasn't really his idea. This was actually done by Joe first, S-J-O-W. He was the first guy to really publicize it, but I couldn't really find his list. It's probably up on Hearthstone somewhere, but I didn't dig far enough. Anyway, so this particular list, it's a giant mage. This has been coming back a lot recently. It's a deck that uses Duplicate the best. Duplicate makes your Twilight Drake stronger. It means that your Mountain Giants get fueled and you just get multiple of them and just kill your opponent. So it plays a lot like Handlock, but in Mage instead. Now, what's the advantage of doing this? Instead of life tap, you get defensive measures. Things like Ice Block. You also get burn, like Fireball. So there's a lot of different things you can actually use, whereas Handlocks, in turn, they get Life Tap, they also get Power Overwhelming, Shadow Flame, things like that. They get a lot of different cards they can use. Now, this particular list is not playing Loatheb, and personally I think that's a mistake. However, the main thing to look at this is that Loatheb is crazy, but you need to fit him in here. I am not quite sure how you fit a Loatheb in this deck. I think you should be able to somehow. I do know that Joe kind of removed a Fireball or something for some other stuff, but this deck is so tight on space, it's ridiculous. You consider maybe removing a Sludge Belcher, maybe. Only running one Water Elemental. Yeah, this deck is really tight for space, even one Poly, whereas you may want to run two. So I would say to anyone trying to run this deck, try and fit a Loatheb in there, and I will also say good luck with that, because it's very difficult. But I still think that this deck should have a Loatheb in it. The key problem is getting it into the deck. So I will leave that up to you guys, and I think personally I would remove a Sludge Belcher, I want to say, or a fireball. I think maybe a fireball actually. Maybe a mad scientist. Or an acolyte? You see what I mean? Like, I think maybe an acolyte. Yeah, I think I'd remove an acolyte painful Lotheb. That's difficult. Anyway, so this particular list is very, very powerful right now. I would highly recommend if you want to play Mage, play a Giant's Mage. It's very, very strong against control decks, and most of the deck, like most of the metagame at the moment, is mid-range and control. So moving on to one of Kalento's lists. I'm using two of Kalento's lists from Prismatic Cup 2 because they're very, very recent. Anyway, so this one from Kalento is a Paladin list. Now, this one is a mid-rangey control Paladin, or I don't really know what it is anymore. It's either control or mid-range, depending on which way you look at it, and also who you ask. Now, this is playing the standard Outlaw, Peacekeepers, True Silvers, and such. It's also playing the Guardian of Kings plan and Tyrion as its win conditions, as opposed to... Wait, why is Hearthstone doing that? You see this? It, like, pops it up. That's weird. Anyway. It's running the big creatures late game to try and close out the game, along with a Kel'Thuzad down here as the win conditions. Now, besides that, it can just kill you with mid-range creatures. We've got the trio of 6-drops. Now, the trio of legendary 6-drops are the 3 utility 6-drops, which are incredibly powerful. Normally, you can't run all 3, you have to pick from 2. However, in this situation, this is a very, very mid-rangey list, and it's not running any other 6-drops, so it can get away with having each of the trio. Now, just going over the trio quickly, so, like, Cairn beats Priests, that's why it's here. Sylvanas is arguably the best 6-drop in the game right now because of how slow everything is. It's arguably one of the best creatures in the game right now, situationally. As I said when we were talking about Sylvanas a bit before in Versus Series, I think Lotheb is still the best creature, but in this current metagame, Sylvanas gives him a run for his money, and maybe even more powerful, depending on how much silence there is. Now, the Black Knight is the other one which has come back. It was completely useless for a while, but now it's come back in full force and is going to be killing a lot of taunts. So, especially Tyrion. Tyrion gets killed, yeah, if they have a 5-3 weapon, that's annoying, but it doesn't matter if you just kill them. Now, the rest of this deck is interesting. We've got one Ironbeak, one Acolyte of Pain is a peculiar choice, but I guess it's a tech card. It can be good. It's really, really good in the mirror. You can use it with Wild Pyro as well if you have any other spells besides Quality. But I'm not sure. It could be good, but I'm not sure. Now, I guess with a Quality you can use it in Cycle. Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Anyway, the rest of the stuff is... We've got the one Spellbreaker for an additional silence with the Ironbeak Cow. I love this split, by the way. He wants a cheap silence and a actual proper creature on a silence. Spellbreaker is a better card than Ironbeak Cow, however it costs twice as much. So if you want the silence, run Ironbeak Cow. If you want just a straight mid-rangey minion, run Spellbreaker. That's why aggro decks run Ironbeak Cow, and mid-range decks tend to run Spellbreaker if they need a silence. Love Spellbreaker right now. I think it's a very, very good card. I've played it in the past in Druid and such, running 3 of them. Not like 3 silence, so 1 Spellbreaker, 2 Keepers. So I think the card is quite good right now, and hopefully we'll see a bit more play than it actually is. As for the rest, Sludge Belchers, Sen'jins, pretty standard anti-aggro. The whole point of Sludge Belcher is that you want to be able to be greedy so you can beat the control decks, while not being too greedy so you don't just instantly die to aggro. That's why Sludge Belcher is in all of these decks. Same with Sen'jin, so you don't want to just die randomly to an aggro deck. Stampeding Kodos are traditionally very, very good in Paladin because you can use them with Humility and also with Aldor. The other thing this deck is very, very good at is killing giants. Humility, Equality, Aldor, Peacekeeper. Very, very good combination. Alright, moving on to Rogue. Now, this list, I have no idea if this is accurate at all, so I'm not even going to make a comment on it. The reason I've got this up, and I just hit my webcam. Okay, anyway, sorry if I broke anyone's ears there. So, this particular list is, I think, out of date, but I'm not sure. The reason I say I'm not sure is because Miracle's still a deck, but I was watching some of the qualifiers and Prismatic Cup, and they were saying, yeah, Miracle sometimes doesn't run leeroy. Which I can see why, but it's confusing because this list, I'm guessing Miracle is just going to be the Gadgetzan engine with some other mid-rangey core. I'm not quite sure though, that's why I've got this up here, because it's running Sludge Belchers, and one Sludge Belcher, one Lotheb. I'm not sure where Miracle's going. I think Miracle's turning into a much less degenerate deck, as in not kill you instantly with Leeroy's, and is turning into more of a mid-range deck with the Gadgets and Engine. I think there's still a Miracle to be had somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, and you need to find an exact list, although it is still seeing a bunch of play, and I'm guessing almost every Miracle list is going to be different at the moment, because no one really knows how to abuse the Gadget and Engine the best, because Leeroy is not around anymore. The point is that the Gadget and Engine with Conceal is still absurd, so that's why they're playing it. But besides that, I'm not quite sure how you fit Miracle Rogue into a metagame and what kind of list you play, but it's definitely one that I would not be surprised to see roaming around. Now, onto the other Kalento list. Actually, no, we have another one. Kalento is just a ridiculous deck builder. I think that's what people have come to the conclusion of. He's really, really good at building decks. Now, this is a priest list, obviously, based on the Dark Cultists and such. So this is a priest list. It's a very, very tempo-y list. He's just called it priest. I think I like coming up with more interesting lists. I mean, this was posted by Flux, so that means it was probably just from standard deck lists. So it must have just been posted up a standard deck list, which would explain why it does not have a name. Anyway, so this is a very, very tempo-y list. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, its late game is mind control. The whole point is you tempo your opponent to death by skipping his turn and gaining the same creature on your side of the board. Now, the rest of the stuff, we've got standard, Northshire, silence. Like, silence is an interesting one. It's just a 0 cost. You can use it with Wild Pyromancer as well, which is relevant. So it's just a 0 cost silence right now. I can definitely see why you'd be running it. Circle of Healing combats well with a couple of creatures here. The first one is Orkanai, or Soul Priest. I call it Orkanai, but apparently that confused confused a few people last time. I kept referring to it as Orkanai. But anyway, the Orkanai Circle combo is very, very powerful. You also have the Injured Blade Master Circle combo. Now, the good thing is that both of these creatures are not reliant on the circle. You can use Orkanai along with your hero power to deal 2 damage, or you can use Injured Blade Master along with your hero power to get a 4/5 for 5 that keeps growing. So there's definitely ways of using both cards without circle, but with circle they're both devastating. Now, as for the rest of it, we do have, again, double Sludge Belcher, completely shuts down aggro, and is also just a very, very good card on its own, and Sylvanas. The rest of it, at the top of the curve at least, if we notice the curve here, is just one above 6, no real win conditions here, apart from mind control, is Cabal. Now, this entire deck is tempo based. If you like your tempo decks, run this kind of deck. You've got Dark Cultist, Shadow Word Death, Power Word Shield just stops trading basically. Double Shadow Word Death I think is necessary right now. That's still not Shadow Word. Stop it, thank you. Shadow Word Death is necessary right now as a 2-off because of all the giants running around. You really want to be able to deal with those. But there's a couple other interesting additions in here, like Shadow Madness. Now, between Shadow Madness and Cabal, you can just abuse lower level, like lower attack Death Rattle creatures. Now, Shadow Madness hits more, but does not give you a 4/5 and is not permanent. So, definitely very, very powerful different ways of doing it. Not to mention Shadow Madness is also complementary to Holy Nova and Circle of Healing along with Orkanai for the AoE. So, very, very interesting list, very, very tempo-y centric list, and I definitely think Priest is pretty good right now. Now to Shaman. Now this is one of those lists, also this is a freaky picture, anyway, this is one of those lists which again I'm not sure whether it's up to date or anything, however I think it's something that will be coming back a little bit more, is this Shaman tempo-y list that's very, very good in the early game and sort of rides the advantage of Flame Tongue Totems and Fire Elementals and such to victory. So this is playing, I'd say, the standard in terms of class cards, you know, Earth Shock, Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter, Flame Tongue, these are all standard. Feral Spirit, Hex, Lightning Storm. This is the funny thing about Shaman. You can actually compare 2 different Shaman lists together and they will have like 25 cards the same and those 5 cards will make a different archetype. It's really silly, but Shaman lists are just like that. Because I mean, if you think about it, standard removal takes up like 6 cards. Yeah, standard removal takes up 6. And then you also have Flame Tongue, which you really want to play as a 2-off. Feral Spirits, probably want to play as a 2-off. Storm, 2-off. Hex, 2-off. Like, these are just givens. Fire Elemental, 2-off as your late game guy. Unbound Elemental varies between bad and extremely good depending on your overload count. I don't mean bad, I just mean not as good as something like Harvest Golem, for example. But in this case, Unbound is very, very good. The reason for it is because it's running double Feral as a follow-up, double Storm, and double Lightning Bolt, which are all enough to make it work. We do also have the one utility Reincarnate. This is mostly for shenanigans with Sylvanas, and also just does really degenerate things from time to time. Mostly Sylvanas, but you can also use it with Alakir as sort of a rock biter weapon and attack for another 6. It's relevant. I do like the one-off Reincarnate. It's always a nice utility card. It's one of the reasons why it was one of my favorite class cards from Naxxramas. Now, besides that, we do actually have the standard Haunted Creepers as the early game. Double Defender of Argus seems to be a lot more popular nowadays. It used to be 0, then it was 1, now it's 2 in this particular list. I actually think Defender is a very, very good card right now, along with, because you have Haunted Creepers, Feral Spirits, Totems. I think you'll have enough targets. Zombie Chow is a one-off, that's fine. You don't ever want to draw 2, but getting it on turn 1 can be really handy. Besides that, we have the 3 draw cards here. Necessary, because Shaman doesn't have that much draw at all. And then we've got the standard Sludge Belcher Sylvanas. So a lot of common things between these decks. Sludge Belcher, arguably the best card right now, and the Sylvanas. Now there is something missing from this list, which I'm going to say again and again and again until people finally get it. Loatheb. No, I'm serious. Like, the funny thing is that Loatheb was such a commonplace in every deck that people actually never realized how good it was. But Loatheb actually just flat wins a lot of the time. The problem is right now is that Sludge Belcher people are using to beat the aggro decks, but I still think Loatheb is like how you beat control decks a lot of the time. It's a 5-5 that just hits them over and over and over again. So I would recommend trying to squeeze Loatheb into every deck right now, especially with the metagame slowing down as much, unless you're doing something specifically too fast for Loatheb, like Warlock Aggro, the Rush Aggro deck, which Loatheb's too slow. It was on the border of too slow for Zoo, but for the Rush deck, it's just way too slow. You can't even run it. But in terms of anything mid-rangey, I definitely think you should be able to fit that 5 and a 5-5 in there somewhere. Now, onto the last of Kalento's lists. This is a handlock list. Now, we did see this in Versus Series last week, and this is the handlock list that runs Lord Jaraxxus. Now, Jaraxxus is how you kill control decks. The reason it's been bad for a very long time, I might add, is simply because it is terrible against burst and aggro. As in really, really bad. Like, actually will just lose you the game because you spent 9 mana on 15 life. It's just terrible against those decks. But against control, it just wins. The hero power alone will kill them, and the 3/8 weapon is also very, very, very good when it comes to killing all of the small stuff, or just doing 3 to the face every single turn. Very powerful card right now. I would actually say it's one of those cards where I would never disenchant Jaraxxus right now if I opened it. I remember I've disenchanted Jaraxxuses in the past, but that's mostly because I didn't play control at all, and I never really foresaw myself playing control. I did end up playing a few control decks in the future, but it's the kind of card which I keep around now because I can see myself in the future playing control decks, even though I still don't. But anyway, so I'd keep Jaraxxus pretty much even if he becomes bad at some point, because he will always have his metagame where he's really good, even though it may only be once a year or something. Anyway, so as for the rest of the stuff, we have standard Ancient Watchers, double Iron Beak Owl because you need them again, you need the silences. The Jotto Beak Owl is back with a vengeance right now. And besides that, we're back up to 4 Taunt Givers. A lot of people are running 3 for the longest time. I think you do need all 4 now. And we do have the Twilight Drakes, Molten Giants, and Mountain Giants. Not in that order, obviously. Standard Loatheb, Sludge Belcher making its appearance again. I think Sylvanas is a really good thing in this list. Faceless is another card which is very, very powerful right now. You can literally just grab an 8/8 for 5 mana, and it's super good. Besides that, 1 Hellfire, 2 Shadow Flame. The Shadow Flames are incredible in the mirror and also very, very good because of your giants, whereas Hellfire only really kills aggro creatures. But anyway, the other Warlock list, which I couldn't find a proper Hearthstone list for it, although if you want to see one, it's on the last Versus Series video, is a Warlock aggro deck. Now, I don't mean Zoo, I mean everything go to the face, Arcane Golems, Worgen Infiltrators, everything. Double Power Forming, double Soulfire, no Doom Guards because you don't want to discard your Soulfires and your Power Formings. So there is that list, which is extremely good at preying on these guys, and if they don't get Sludge Belcher, they're kind of screwed against it. So if you want to punish some of these greedy decks, go ahead and play that Rush deck. It can be very, very powerful against these slower decks like Warlock, ironically. Anyway, so Warlock with life tap means that they just take additional damage every single turn, and you kill them before the Giants can even come down. Which is impressive, I must admit, but it's only possible against Warlocks because they dome themselves for 6 usually before even doing anything, or 4, yeah. So, I would definitely say that at the moment, Warlocks are the ones with multiple choices. I mean, there's obviously variations, but not so much in terms of archetypes. Whereas Warlock does have that complete flip, and as usual, it's because of the hero power being incredibly overpowered, while the rest of the Warlock cards more or less suck, I'd say. But that's a topic for another day. Anyway, last class. Now this is Warrior. Warrior has a control deck. I am not sure what the control deck is, what kind of legends it's running, why it's running those legends, what kind of removal. I'm literally serious. It's so difficult to figure out what Warrior control is going to be running. They change literally daily. Like, I'm just looking at this list right now, and this was updated 3 days ago. So I'm guessing it's fairly up to date, but obviously the standard is Deathbite and things like that. 1 Brawl, some have been running 2, I know that, some have been running 2. So we've got the 1 Brawl, which is standard here, and the legendaries. Now, this is the kind of thing where it's like, if you want to... This is just a running joke, by the way, where I remember having a discussion with people like Shiv, who used to call Warrior Control Wallet Warrior. Like, yes, yeah, this is the kind of thing where if you wanna introduce someone to Hearthstone, do not show them Warrior Control because there's this and this giant number in the background. It's one of the reasons why I've never built a Warrior Control deck. I'm actually serious. I've never made a Warrior Control deck because it costs too much dust. Anyway, so as for the legendary suite, we're running Alexstrasza, Ragnaros, and Grommash, and this seems to be an outdated version actually. The trio of 6-drops is showing up again here. I think if the deck is slow enough to run it, you should. So the trio of 6-drops show up here, along with the Loatheb. I guess it's kind of it's the trio of 6-drops, and then there's the trio of 5-drops, being the 2 Sludge Belchers, one Loatheb right now. But besides that, we do have the double unstable Ghoul as sort of a help against aggro, and also just helps trigger your Acolyte of Pain and your Armor Smiths. Besides that, 1 Iron Beak Owl, as I said, the Jotto Beak Owl is back with a vengeance, it's doing a lot of work at the moment. One thing I would say is I would probably not run Rag right now. I think Rag is too bad against Mind Control. The other thing with it is if it hits a Kel'Thuzad, you just don't want to keep playing. It's so terrible. Like, Kel'Thuzad actually blanks Ragnaros completely, and Big Game Hunter is coming back, so I'm not sure if it's even a good card in the current metagame. We'll have to see. But it is a win condition, so you may have to use it. Maybe you could try Kel'Thuzad in this deck instead, because you're running things like Sludge Belchers. I'm not sure. That's for you guys to test. Just putting my input in that Rag may not be as good as he was. Same with Baron Geddon. Although Baron Geddon is arguably just does 9 damage a turn, and also has to be removed. So I think Baron Geddon is still really good. But Ragnaros may be a little too risky right now, because if you're playing against Priest, it's terrible. If you're playing against Warlock, it can be really good. But they might have BGH, and also if you're playing against someone with Kel'Thuzad, it literally does nothing, because the Kel'Thuzad just resurrects everything, including itself. You can't even hit the Kel'Thuzad, it resurrects itself. So Rag gets blanked by 2 different cards in the metagame right now, so I'm not sure if it's even good anymore. Or 3 cards actually, including Mind Control. So we'll have to see where that goes as far as the Warrior Control suite goes, but I definitely think the trio of 5-drops and 6-drops are very, very good right now. And the main question is these 4 win conditions. I think Baron Geddon and Grommash you keep, Alexstrasza I think is okay right now, and Rag is a bit too risky. But anyway, that's pretty much it though for an overview on each class in the metagame. If you notice I missed Hunter. I don't think Hunter's viable. I mean, maybe a Hunter Rush deck. I'm not sure. Actually, while I'm on it, I might as well go onto the front page and just see if anyone's come up with anything for Hunter. Just while we're closing out the video here. That's August 29th. Is there anything, like, close? Legendary Hunter? Alright, let's have a look. I think we might as well just have a look here. Okay, so this is just a mid-range deck without the buzzard combo. I mean, it is running the aggressive Undertaker engine as well. I guess it's running Blue Hoarders. I'm not sure. I think this is in the right direction though. If you want to try, you need some extra draws. So you need Loot Hoarders. You also need maybe tracking as well. I think you should probably try and fit tracking in here as well. But I'm not sure. It's a bit difficult with the draw right now. There's so little draw in the class, so you need to run the 1-for-1 thing. And I'm not sure if Hunter can run the 1-for-1 thing, so it's sketchy at best. But if you want to try, this is definitely the kind of list you want to go into. So anyway, that's about it for the metagame. Most classes have some sort of viable thing they can go for. Hunter I'm a bit sketchy with, but I think most classes have a place somewhere. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out in the end. I think Paladin and Warlock and Druid are on the higher end of things, maybe with Priest. Mage is also pretty good though, so as I said, there's just a lot of variance right now as to where it's going to go. There's just been some major changes, so we don't really know where things are going to go. However, it's definitely interesting to see a major shift in the metagame. If it ends up on some other deck being completely broken, then that's just how card games work. But anyway, that's about it for this week. So thanks for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. I have been streaming a lot recently, actually. It's mostly SoulForge stuff, though, so if you're interested in watching SoulForge, catch me on stream. I usually stream almost every day nowadays, now that I think about it. But anyway, as for now, this has been Jotto, signing off.